Good morning, everyone. I appreciate you getting up and getting here early with me on Monday morning. I apologize about last week. I'm ill. I'm still under doctor's care. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better. But I'm not through the woods yet. So I don't know if I'll be able to do all 3 hours. I missed you guys too. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do all 3 hours, but I'm gonna do as much as I can. Thank you, thank you. Listen, Mr. and I spoke this morning. He has a headache. I don't feel well. And I said to him, you know what? We are blessed because somebody didn't wake up this morning. So yes, I can be feeling down and upset, but I woke up this morning, and everybody here, regardless of what you woke up to, you woke up. And I know sometimes you think that that feels harder than not, but I promise, every day can be a good day with the right perspective. Absolutely, health and real life come first. So we had a wild one last night. I'm sure I'll get to it at some point. If I don't have to leave early. But y'all didn't come here to hear me talk about that. It is amazing, Grace. It is tired. Let's show the grid. This is the grid this morning. Good morning to my mods. I saw Granny Annie. I haven't seen anybody else. So we're going to have an extensive conversation about Lashairee because depending on which live she's in really determines her attitude. We're going to talk about Krack of Dawn Love because she follows the pattern of other scammers. They act like they ask for the money for one thing and then automatically feel entitled to spend it on whatever they want. We're going to talk about Tashanique a little bit, but I did some research. I worked with a little bit of AI, and I have some thoughts. Then really, the Danko and Lala thing is just to welcome them to the grid. Because I gave them the opportunity to have a conversation with me. I was kind. I let them know that I didn't know much about them. And she was like, we're not a digital deceiver, and blocked me. Okay. Now I'll find out on my own. We're going to talk about Porscha and the situation she found herself in. And let me say off the bat, no one should be assaulted under any circumstances, especially not in front of their children. But I still have questions. We're going to talk about CJ Stafford and the nonsense that didn't make sense to me. And I got to shout out to Cass Diaz because she sent them to me at the right moment and I went in. And you know how, like, you get the feeling you haven't even heard 10 minutes and you already know the spidey senses, the red flags are absolutely with CJ. And then I need to talk about Joshua and Aida again because they really do think they're funny. They really do. Okay, hold on just 1 second. Okay. Yeah, Jody, she does. She absolutely does. If you, Azalea, me too. If I miss you guys too. If you haven't watched CJ, he has a huge following and he does lip syncing and other things. But this here lately, my hey cat daddy, we might as well add him to the list. So who do I want to start with? Let's see. Let's just start with the easy one out the gate. Um, Danko and Lala. If you aren't what anybody has called you, and I come in and I'm not like, are you lying? Are you asking for money? Are you? No, I just was like, I'm new to you. I've never really watched you. What's going on? And their response is, mind you, my other account was already blocked. We're not a digital deceiver and we're not talking to you. Okay. Well, that's going to make me look into you that much more. Because that's a weird response to somebody asking you a general question. But it's their response. They have every right to block any account they don't want in their life. 110%. But now I have all the reasons in the world to go find out for myself. And that's what I'm planning on doing. So I want to welcome them to the grid. There are others that need to get welcomed, but they are definitely being added to the grid. Because they've moved now into the camper, I believe, of an older couple. And that worries me. Because they're slick. They're really slick. And he acts like he's a prophet standing either next to Jesus or in front of Jesus. I don't know which one. And if you can convince somebody that you serve the Lord, it takes the any level of self-protection that you have, it takes it away. You feel like I can trust them. If they worship God, that they're honest, that they won't do any harm, that they're on the right path, that what they tell me I can believe. And unfortunately, since the beginning of time, starting with the devil himself, if they can convince you that they are serving God, they can get you to do almost anything. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I didn't even say my normal thing. Welcome in. I appreciate you being here. If you're a member of the team, hit the Daily Heart Me. If not, stick around. And if you like what you see, hit the Daily Heart Me. Please do me the favor to tap the screen. I talk about things that are upsetting to other people. Good morning, existence. I'm not feeling great, but I'm feeling better. So that we can maintain the live. We know the reason why is I want to reach as many people as possible. People who may not be familiar. So I'm concerned about this elderly couple, this older couple. Very concerned. But we'll see what happens. Okay. Who's next? Let's talk about Crack of Dawn. Hold on one second, guys. Okay, I'm sorry. Granny, can you go see if anybody else is coming this morning? I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. Crack of dawn. Crack of dawn. Oh, Danko and Lala are live. That's hilarious. Anyway, Crack of dawn came to alive. And I find that many of them, because of the supporters, and I'm saying that with air quotes, that gas them up into believing that they are deserving of everybody's money, regardless of what's happening in their personal lives. They go other places thinking that that's what they're going to get. Like, even if I got to ask a few questions, I might pick up 10 or 15 new people who will come and support me. So they show up in lives, and immediately people have questions. You get in the box, people have questions. And I came late to the party. And this isn't her first go around. She's been here before. Unfortunately for me, when I got in the box to ask my questions, she booked it and ran and went live so that she could hear from people who love her that she doesn't have to answer anybody's questions. It's nobody's business, etc., etc., etc. It's always the same thing. They have the right to ask for everybody's money, but they don't have to answer anybody's questions. But some interesting information came out because somebody asked, like, how did you get here? Now, in this and I think I talked about this, but I don't think it was my life. I might have been in somebody else's life. I don't know. Oh, okay. Sherry's here. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Um, she was living in housing. Well, before this, when she was begging before, it was the same thing. I need a hotel room. I need food. I need it all. And I need you to give it to me. And as always, there is something very unique about TikTok. And I don't know if it's because of battling and people are used to giving people money on here, or if it's just a unique thing about TikTok. But when people need money, they come to TikTok. And she did it all before, but then she ended up getting a housing voucher. They are extremely difficult to get because there are so many waiting lists. And once you get one, unless you start making big money so that you can financially move on, you keep your housing voucher. It's the reason why you have somewhere to go home to every day. So she gets a housing voucher. And just like so many of the other scammers, they are entitled. So even though I'm here on a housing voucher, I feel like I can act and talk to people any way I want to. Because I have a housing voucher. What you going to do about it? Now, based on what she said that I don't know if she had a job, but she's a cook. She cooks food. That's her thing. So she purchased a hot dog truck. How you did that, I have questions. Where'd you get that money from? But let's say it came from a family member. And she would go out to events, you name it, and she was selling hot dogs. Now, before that, she was selling plates, but now we're doing a hot dog stand. I'm not mad at that. People have become millionaires starting that way. That took initiative. Cool. She was doing well. And then she says she cut in her hand. And when you're a cook, and I believe it was her primary hand, that can cause problems. I get it. Right? But that had nothing to do with her housing. The next thing you know, it sounds like to me, and I might have this part wrong, and if I do, please come up and correct me. Good morning to everybody that's come in. The maintenance worker showed up when she wasn't expecting him to. That's what I got. But again, forgive me if I don't have that particular detail right. At the end of whatever the interaction was, she decided to file harassment charges against him. Now, according to her, this accusation is what caused the rift between her and the property management. And so that even though they had initially renewed her lease with her voucher, they decided to suddenly say they weren't going to continue and bounced, which somehow put her voucher in jeopardy. Nanny of three blessings. That makes so much more sense. And I could understand why she didn't want the maintenance worker to move in. To come in then. Because it would reveal extra people living in the home. Because I couldn't understand how if all of the sudden the apartment complex no longer wanted to rent to you, and it wasn't about money, it wasn't about tearing up the property, it wasn't about things that would cause you to lose your voucher. Why are you homeless? Why haven't you been able to find another apartment that will take your voucher? God's child, I don't understand. Good morning. Thank you. Welcome in. I don't understand. And thank you so much. What also gets me is that they tell us how hard it is out here, as if we aren't living in the same economy. Just because people work or have an income doesn't mean gas prices didn't go up. Utility prices didn't go up. When it's time for your car insurance, what happens? It went up. Cell phone bills went up. Do you see the price of the new iPhone? Because I'm looking at the Pro Max with 1 terabyte because of what I do. And I'm like, I might as well just buy a computer and get a flip phone. Like, what are we doing? And let's not discuss groceries. So if I had extra income, let's say last year, and I might be able to give a little bit to a few people here and there, or if you're my favorite, Is that disposable income the same as it was last year? No. And I feel bad for people who had adjustable mortgage rates and rent is going out of control. People trying to buy houses. Like down here, we're looking at houses that 15 years ago under 100,000, and some of them are now going for $200,000 and $300,000 a year. Right, Nanny? It's always an emergency. And the other thing she does, which also pisses me off, is that they know that checkout is at 11. And they'll get up at 10 o'clock and say, oh, and she did this the other day. I know I'm late, but that means I slept well, and so I need the money by 11:30. Excuse me? So you expect people on a random day in the middle of the week to decide that they're going to be online and send you money for your room. And what is always true eventually, as the faithful, the mods, those building her up every day, they're not sending it. They've sent enough. They've reached their limit, but they're willing to support her and somebody else sending it. They'll be quick to say, if 5 people send $10, she'll have what she needs. All of them do it. Real quick to look. They always say, we're pocket watching. They're pocket watching. Your pocket. If you guys can like the live, I just got restricted. But it's not because anybody is reporting me. It's because I don't turn my camera on. And so they prevent me from, sometimes I can't have gifts. Other times they won't promote the live. So just do it for me. I know Granny Annie, at least she has a schedule. But how dare you give people that limited amount of time? And that's where when we say they feel entitled, that's part of why. Because how can you be so sure that you can get good rest while the people who are sending you money had to get up based on an alarm clock, check in and check out? But you get to sleep well. So now, because I was going to ask the question, how is it that you had a housing voucher and lost it in this amount of time? Oh, she's quick to block. She actually announces the number of people in her live repeatedly. It's 2 people in this live. It's 12 people in this live. It's 15 people in this live. We can see that. What's the announcement for? She has a interesting way at engaging. But I think what topped it off for me was, again, now she's looking for a job. She goes to certain interviews, misses certain interviews, haven't heard a word, right? But then she showed up with a wig and a little makeup on. And people were like, oh my God, you look so cute, blah, blah, blah. She was like, yeah, I had to get a new wig. I took some of my extra money. What extra money? And of course, she's changed the price of the wigs. The first time I caught her, the wig was on sale for $24.99. And she was planning on getting another one. Now, of course, the people who gave her money will say, I gave her the money. Once I gave it to her, it's hers. That may be true. But she's just going to come back to you now because she's going to need that $50 to pay for the room. I could see if she said, give me 100, you give it to her. She spends 50 on wigs and never has to come back and ask you again. Then okay, cool. But how did she get to spend money for the reason why she asked? You sent it to her, and then she decided that on that day, she was going to take 25 of it, which means she over asked, or what she asked for, she didn't use it for, to go buy a wig. And they're all sitting there, oh, you look great, blah, blah, blah. None of y'all had the gall to, the confidence to say, was that your hotel money? Because, girl, we're doing this out of kindness. Because again, there is never a rich person in there giving their money. Now, there are certainly people who have more disposable income than probably most that might do it. But even they have a financial limit. They're not going to become homeless because of you. So why would you keep giving money to somebody that feels like they can use it for what they want? And she had a nerve to say that the wig is so she can get a job. That the last wig she had was like tired and old. And she doesn't just ask for that. She asks for food, for her medications to get covered. Like literally her entire life. And she's just like the rest, promising to get a job and everything's going to be okay and this is temporary. But I said this about Zim, and I'm going to say it about the rest. The moment they need something, they have no problem coming to TikTok. Of course, Sandy. So let's say she gets a job and it doesn't work out. Guess what? She's going to come right back to TikTok like the rest of them do. She had an incident with somebody else, but I didn't write it down. Where she turned around and accused somebody else of harassment. Oh, it was at her job. She was working, I want to say it was a restaurant. And she saw another employee do something that violated the rules. And of course, the people who need the job the most is the first to stand up and call other people out. Now, I probably would too. That's my nature. But then said that afterwards it turned into harassment. So she has a claim against them too. Imagine if somebody called there and they decided to tell the truth. That, when you sign a waiver agreeing in most places to talk to a former employer. Now, some employers have the stance, I'll give you the dates that they worked here, the amount of money they made, and the title. And that's all they'll give regardless because of lawsuits. But there are some who are like, let me tell you, be careful. She has an attitude. She thinks things should be her way regardless of how it's supposed to be. And if she doesn't get her way, it's a problem. Don't we see that attitude every time she comes live? There's a lack of humility, which I don't understand. And that's pervasive amongst most of them. Right. That's what most people do. Oh Lord, Jordan is live. She got to get that money before work. Has she mentioned a paycheck yet, y'all? I haven't been watching her lately. I didn't watch anybody almost all of last week. Happy Monday. June the 5th. Well, we'll see. It can, depending on how often they pay, it can take 3 weeks, especially depending on which week you come into the pay period. So if they're going to pay you for the last 2 weeks you worked on payday, and they make you wait a week, if you start in the second week of the pay period, you could not get a paycheck until you've been there for 3 weeks. It's possible. But how many of us believe that on Friday or Saturday she's not going to ask for money? I don't believe it. But we'll see. Okay, who's next? Let's do these two next. Because I couldn't believe it. They did their exact same 1-2 step. They come live. She's talking about battling. And she's like, sorry, not sorry, but we are on the broke side. Thank you, Granny Annie. Sorry, not sorry. We are on the broke side. And then she goes on to explain that she deserves to be an A1 level. Deserve? Like, that is wild to me. That A, you think berating people is going to get you there, and B, that you deserve it any more than anybody else. But according to the people who are there, it takes time and work, not a few hours every day where you complain about what you are or are not getting and act annoyed that nobody is there. See, they look at their number of followers and think they should have a team. But they left you because A, of your attitude, and B, of your begging for money outside of the app. Yes, there are people on here who were regular people, and by battling on TikTok, they are now millionaires. 100%. And they still have a team, and they still rock it. She was like, do you think the person that's at the top of A1 has a regular job? No. Because what they are earning on TikTok pays their bills. What do I always say? If what you do doesn't pay your bills, it's a hobby. And if you need the money to pay your bills, to be housed, to have a car, to have your utilities on, to take care of your children, then you need to supplement that income with a regular 9 to 5, whatever you want to call it. But neither one of them has worked a regular 9 to 5. So I don't know what they're talking about. I don't want to work a regular 9 to 5. When have you done it? In the last few years. You can work at it. He's like, I've even copied other videos that went viral and I didn't move. People are looking for authenticity. If they see, who's Kim B? We're chasing our dream. Oh, yeah, yeah. Do you think the people that are A1 started at A1? And I'm not talking to the people who are famous and already independently wealthy. Y'all have to remember that during COVID, a lot of the people who make money in the entertainment industry lost a lot of money then. People couldn't do concerts. They don't make money off of selling albums. That mainly goes back to the label. They make their money being able to tour. And for what, 2 years they couldn't tour anywhere? They couldn't do their reality TV shows because of the requirements during COVID? But we know around the world, it's not just the United States, around the world, rich and famous people pay for very little of what we have to pay for. And what do I mean by that? They're invited somewhere to attend something. Their flights, hotels, food, transportation, events, it's all comped. Sometimes they're comped clothes. Look at Brene, and she's not even a famous person. I mean, she's more famous now. Chipotle was paying her $30,000 a month to eat at Chipotle and promote it in her lives and all her videos. $30,000 a month. Some people make $30,000 a year. But unfortunately, society has come to see people who are rich and famous, or just rich. It doesn't have to be the combination. People are so desired to be able to rub shoulders, they will sit in a live with a rich person like Jeffree Star and throw him gifts. As if he needs another dime for y'all already buying this product. But you'll throw him gifts. I find that absolutely insane as well. But I can't be mad about it. Like, what do they expect? Does she really expect that in 2 weeks, after just begging for their rent to get paid, that if she went live in the middle of the day 3 or 4 times in a week or 7 days a week, that she'd wake up on the following Monday morning and be A1 league?
Someone was detected at your front door.
Hold on, let me turn this down. Janky is crazy. But let's talk about what they did, because they went live for 2.5 hours. And the title of the live was I Am Not Entitled. And they discussed how they every day went live and battled. Like I said, he admitted to copying content of successful videos. And I wrote, but alas, all that work hasn't gotten them what they want, which is A1 League. She wants to be rich. Let me explain. Unless you have struck gold, oil, or diamonds, unless your family handed you down millions or a lot of money that you were able to turn into millions. Regular people work hard to get there. Whether it's industry, sports, entertainment, they work hard to get there. It doesn't fall in their lap in a week unless they're discovered somehow. And even then, once you're discovered, you have to work to keep the money. Why do they think that in a week it's just going to happen for them? She kept talking about wanting financial freedom. And then they decided to insult the supporters, that they're on the broke side of TikTok. And this time she wasn't saying sorry. They're sick of people throwing for other people. Because I think sometimes they turned around and they would see people went from their life to the other life to throw. Aren't people allowed to throw for who they want? Wait a minute, what happened? Rochester, I have to see. Because I'm trying to maintain. I sold the house and pissed it away gifting. Now I regretted it. A-Star, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's happened to more than one person. And what's so crazy is that if you say to the person you've been gifting, I'm losing my home, or I've lost my home and I don't have anywhere to live, they will block you. Because that's not, what do they say? You were stupid enough to give it. You thought you were a part of something. They talk about the team and how you're family and you all love each other and we're working hard together until you need something. And that's what I always say. Ask the person you've been giving money to if you could borrow $10. Ask them if you could borrow $1.50 and see what they say. Suddenly, you're not family anymore. Suddenly, you'll become a weird person asking a poor person for money. But do they care that you're going to be poor? Absolutely not. He then asked people if their hands were paralyzed or if they were just too lazy to tap the screen. And then, of course, he has to throw awareness in there by saying that they pay the scammers to go live so that they can keep getting content. If you're not going to specify who did that, stop saying it. Because I know for myself and many of the people that I support, they would never, under any circumstances, give them money. Do you really think that I need a particular person to stay live? Do you know how many people ate off Lisa? I don't talk about her anymore. She is irrelevant. And that was before she got off the app. I don't need anyone in particular, because when you go away, there's always somebody new. Usually when one goes away, 10 pop up. We can't even keep up. I don't even know, like the Thomas Shields everybody's talking about, believe it or not, I have never seen a single live of his. I've just heard about it. So believe me, paying somebody to stay, no, not happening. And then, of course, they want to talk about how it's a full-time job, but you're not doing it full-time. You're not doing it full-time. You're not there morning, noon, and night. You're not even there 9 to 5 or 3 to 11. You pick up a few hours whenever you feel like it and go live. You also go live while people are at work. They claim that they make it fun. Has anybody sat in their battles? Their version of fun isn't moving anybody. When you're trying to do something and the product you're producing doesn't engender a spike in interest, you're supposed to try something else. Remember when they came out with New Coke, for those of us who are old enough to remember? And they spent probably $1 billion, if not more, promoting it, testing it, creating a new can, making commercials, having rich people promote it. And when the people said, no, we don't want this new Coke, guess what? They had to they literally threw that money in the garbage because nobody wanted it. There used to be a time where there wasn't any cherry Coke. It was Coke and Diet Coke. When a plan doesn't work, you don't give up. You try something else. You don't imagine Coke yelling at Coke customers. They have 2 children, 2 girls. Then they kept saying, the other people you're sending gifts to don't appreciate it. How in the hell do you know that? Thank you, DBA boss. Hey, TikTok president. How do you know that? But you guys do. But nobody else does. Who do they throw for? I wonder. She then, when they went back to talking about how it's a full-time job, she said, they give you a W-2. No, baby. They give you a W-9. A W-2 would mean that they were paying taxes for you. You don't even know how it works. It's okay, baby. You never have to apologize. So then the very next live, because we know their pattern, it's her sitting in front of a camera, looking sad. Title of the live, now we're in a situation. And I almost hollered. I was like, well, I should have known. This is the pattern. Complain about battling, complain about the support, and then come back and beg. And her story was so convoluted that I couldn't tell which part of the story she was talking about or which item she was paying for. But I want to tell you how she says things to make it look better, but it just reveals that you're not being completely truthful. Okay. So I'm going to try go in order so that way I don't jump ahead and miss the point. So she comes live and she's like, people are like, what's going on? And she's like, I want to wait for more people to be in here. Okay. So remember when Michaela announced her divorce and she's like, everybody sit down. And then she announces it and she's like, I know this is a shock to everybody. Like we were personally affected. Girl, bye. That's how she was acting. And she was like, I lost my job 5 days ago. Okay, sorry to hear that. And let me remind you what the job was taking care of Josh's mother. That was her full-time job. And if you recall, I said when I did their last live was, how are you taking care of his mother if you're with him 24/7? We watched you in the car. Remember, they told us the schedule. 7 to 2, they DoorDash and Spark. They came back. She worked. And then they went back out and DoorDash. And I'm like, who's taking care of grandma? That's your job. And if it's a full-time job, 4 hours a day isn't it? And then when they changed the schedule, I said, oh, they probably changed the schedule because they've now basically announced that nobody was really there taking care of grandma. So they changed the schedule. But they didn't change it and say, well, she's going to go back to her job. They changed the schedule so she could come live and battle. That's still not taking care of grandma. Most companies that are paying you to take care of somebody aren't like, well, you can be live all day too. Most of them don't even want you on your phone unless it's an emergency. And it's boring work, believe me, I did it. And so everybody's on their phone. But on live trying to make money while I'm supposed to be. And when does she take a break while she's live? Rachel Reese, you gotta question it. So anyway, she lost the job 5 days ago, right? Remember the timeline. She gets paid on the 15th of every month. So she was paid 2 weeks ago. She'll get her final check 2 weeks from now. And she already got $200 help with the rent. And I promise they didn't pay anybody back that gave them a dime. So they were already up $200. Because remember, she said, I get paid on the 15th. I'll be able to pay it. It's no problem. Remember. And what she said was that she was replaced and betrayed by her brother-in-law. She said he took over taking care of the grandmother. And she's like, it was unexpected. Now, she certainly can't say that I called that in. But why would he take the job? How could he take the job for you if you were doing a good job? Because you know what else he's had to do was show them your lives on TikTok. That's all he had to do. That was enough proof right there. When is this generation going to understand that your every move doesn't need to be documented on social media? It's going to bust your ass every time. Especially when you're not handling your business correctly. Correct. And now, of course, she's done with family. No accountability for why she probably lost it. Somebody's betrayed her, and now she's done with family. But guess who her new family is? Jordan needs 120. Wow. Okay. She gonna need it all week. If it's her brother-in-law that took it, then we're talking about his mom. Think about if your mom was being taken care of by somebody who isn't there on the hours required, and when she is supposed to be there for the hours required, she's on live for hours. Doesn't take a break, doesn't stop, isn't like showing like, hold on, I'll be right back, I gotta go. Would you think your mother was being taken care of? Or would you contact the agency and say, I need somebody else? Now, the fact that he took the job, I don't know. I don't know if maybe he lost his job in there, but it doesn't matter. I say this all the time. If there's no smoke there, there's no fire. Or I should say it differently. If there's no fire, where's the smoke? If there wasn't something for him to be able to show them, we wouldn't be here. So that's how she starts talking about it. Your felonious reasoning behind why you should have been able to continue to get paid. Your felonious reason about why you think you should be A1 level. The fact that you think that by saying over and over again, you're destined for greatness while you do nothing to get there is Michigan. Let's not forget that literally the next day after getting the $200 and paying their rent, quote unquote, on time, they showed us their new setup in their living room. They're all ready now. Where'd that come from? And what was that for? Because to me, you didn't do anything differently. Sim, I maybe. I know he's getting out of control, but I can't stand to listen to him talk. There have always, I couldn't cover Lori. I couldn't cover Beth. I tried, I struggled. And Jeff is another one. I can't stand his whine. If anybody likes I just can't. It's just whining. But we'll see. Okay, Sassy. And at one point I wrote down, is this a skit? Because I was like, they're trolling. I was like, they're trolling so that somebody talks about them so they can see how they jump on it. I literally wrote down, is this a skit? So then she starts to talk about the fact that her car is in the shop and she has a loaner car, which we all know about because you had it sooner than you said. And on Friday, you suddenly got a phone call that you had to have, what was it, $336 by Monday. Okay, honey, thank you for coming back. You got a phone call on Friday that you had to have the money by Monday. And because the conversation was so conflated at one point, I couldn't understand if she was saying for her car or the loaner. And I was like, you don't got to pay that much for a loaner. Stop it. But then later on, when she clarified, I realized that she was talking about her car note. Now let's remember something. They purchased a car from a place. They were able to finance the car through the same place. And when they needed the car fixed, they took it to the place that finances the car that they purchased. All one and the same. And their insurance company didn't give them the loaner car. The place that they purchased it, financed it through, and is having it fixed gave them a loaner car. When you concentrate everything in one place, that one place holds all of the cards. Now, I'm not saying that was a wrong decision. But now they get to say, if you don't make your car payment, we're taking the loaner car back, and you can't have your car back either. But this is what was interesting. When they got the phone call, it wasn't their current month. They were already behind a month. What? I'm like, what? So you had to ask for the rent while you were also behind a payment for your car note. But you showed us this great new setup in your house. And when I say setup, I mean a computer setup, multiple screens, the whole shebang. Like a true professional, we're doing this for real. It's on their page, I believe. I think they did a video. What are we doing? Yeah, full-time streamers. Thank you, Kim B. And then, of course, they were going to pay the bill by doing Spark, but they lost that job. If it's late, you still had your Spark job and you still had your job. Why do we still owe $336? And that's a past due. Now, I've been going to the doctor, and I had to go to the doctor on one particular day, and I was like, wait, let me check something. Now, this is Lyft. This is a Spark. I don't have a Spark account. But I want to show you something. On 5/28, I had to go to the doctor. I left the date and the time so you would see that this was last week. And as you can see, I covered the name of the driver and his photo because that's not relevant. Okay? This is what it looks like after. This is like the page on Lyft. Let me show you what the bottom of the page says. Hold on. I added him to my favorites because he was outstanding. But if you go down to help and you go to dispute wait, not that. Hold on. I believe it's below that. Wait a minute. I think it's report I don't know which one it is. I'm sorry. I didn't go one place. Yeah, you could add a favorite driver. This is Lyft. But under one of these categories, and I can't remember exactly which one it is, it's either get help with another issue or report a safety issue. This is where you have to click in order to report that it was a different car that showed up or a different person. That's where you do it. You can't just go into Lyft and say, there was this random day with no date associated with it, no charge that you made, and say the wrong person showed up. Hello for anybody that's come in. So for them to sit there and tell the world that I was the one that got them fired from Spark, it's not possible. When the letter specifically said it was a store or a customer. And of course it wasn't me, because when they were like, we're going to forgive her and let her move on, if I had actually done that, they'd still be talking about it today. They had no choice to let it go because they had no proof, even though they were like, we know for sure. Y'all gave us the letter. But still, this was last month's payment. You still had Spark. You still had your job. So why didn't you pay your car note? Or did you think that because your car was in the shop, you didn't have to pay the bill? Correct, Kim B. And we all know that when you lie on me, you question my integrity, I'm going to take it to the nth degree to prove that it wasn't me. Because if it was me, I just say it was me. But y'all think y'all are so slick. Try it with somebody else, not me. So back to them. You owe $336, and yet the both of you were still sitting in the house. Why isn't Josh off doing DoorDash? You still have that account, right? Or are y'all back to both of you, neither one of you having a job? See, when they talk about they quit their jobs to do stuff full time, did you quit or did you lose it all? And in order to prove to yourself that you're going to be great, you say you quit. And now you have nothing but TikTok. But we know TikTok isn't going to pay your bills. Not yet. So what are you going to do next month when you owe the rent and the electricity and the internet and the cable and your cell phones and whatever equipment you use to do Twitch? I think they do Twitch. I don't know. Where's all that money going to come from? Why are you playing with people? This is why you don't have a team. This is why you don't have followers. Because you can't even manage your regular life. But you can try to make it sound like you getting fired 5 days before and you losing your Spark job a week before explains why your last month's car note wasn't paid. I'm sorry, I'm a little swift on the uptake. I could read right through it immediately. Maybe it comes with age. But y'all are 30 with 2 kids. Go talk to a financial advisor. I understand why you don't want to believe me. But y'all need help because your logic doesn't fit. So then she came back to beg again. And this time she was cooking. Let me see if I have that photo. Because you know. In the meantime, hold your breath. I'm going to give you a jump scare real quick. When I was at the doctor the other day, this came up on my page, and I was like, girl, I understand that you like horror Pookie, but no. No, girl. Mm-mm-mm. You came back and this, no. Anyway, let me go download the photo. Okay. So she's cooking dinner for the family. Okay, cool, no problem. And again, they're asking for the $336. You have the loaner car. Why isn't Josh out there morning, noon, and night trying to make the money? And at this point, they hadn't gotten a dime. Or at least they haven't announced that they've gotten a dime. And they need the money by today. But of course, she talks about her final check not coming until the 15th. So that's not going to work because they need the money by Monday. She said, I wasn't expecting them to call on Friday and tell me I had to have it by Monday. Did you not remember that you had to pay the car note? Like, why did they have to remind you? Or did you think that because the car was in the shop, you didn't have to pay the bill? Like, I'm serious. Is that what they thought? And then, of course, because she's been battling and getting gifts, she was like, I could have paid something towards it on Wednesday, but they want it on Monday or they're going to take the loaner car. That's your chat's problem? They like to say, we haven't asked for a long time. But they forget about all these little ones they kind of throw out there real quick. We haven't asked for anything for 2 years. Are you serious? Well, you have to take that sentence out of your vocabulary, period. Because now we have a beg twice in as many weeks for bills that you, like, this isn't like a water main broke and we got to go stay in a hotel and we got to wait to be reimbursed from the landlord. This is your regular every month bills. So she talked a little bit, talked about the situation. And then at the end of that second live, she says, you know what, guys? Never mind. We'll figure it out. We'll do what we have to do and we'll figure it out. Let me add that they have a cat that's in heat right now. How many more ways do you want to show me that you're irresponsible? Why would an indoor cat need to not be spayed? What, you have intentions on breeding her to sell the cats? There's enough. I purposely went and got White Sox and Kira from the local pound. It's not called the pound, but that's what's always in my mind. I remember growing up and the host of The Price is Right used to end every show with spade and neuter your animals. Every time. At the end of every show, I know I'm aging the hell out of myself, but y'all know I'm 52. So for what? And just for anybody who's not aware, female animals, cats and dogs, have a monthly cycle. I don't know if it's monthly, but they have a cycle when they go into heat. So you got to clean that up. They have little pads that you can put on them. Thank you, Kimmy. Right, May May. But if you're not paying your car note, but wait, let me just say this first. You can get spayed and neuter for, if not a significant discount, most places have it for free because they're trying to stop more animals being born that have nowhere to go. So most areas will spay and neuter for free, if not for a significant discount. But she got to the end of the live and told everybody, never mind. Now, I know they've done live since then. And I don't know if they went back to asking or not. But how did you all of a sudden decide that they were going to figure it out? Good morning. Dang, we already at 8 o'clock. Right, the local humane society. Thank you, Erica. Welcome in. I'm sorry I didn't see you when you came in. So did somebody help them with the money and now they don't need it? Because I'm still trying to figure out how you were going to figure out how to pay $336 that you were begging for at dinner time on Friday night. But you know, does anybody know if they're still begging? I honestly don't know. I gotta do them because, like I said, I did quite a bit of research and I used AI because I feel like clarity needs to come to the situation. I feel terrible for her children. In part because at their age, they know nothing else than their parents. They don't know that the way they were living wasn't how they should have been living. They didn't know that their mom shouldn't have been on her phone 24/7 and their dad shouldn't have been worrying about rapping and playing the game all day while they basically managed themselves. The 2-year-old didn't know that there were services that they could have gotten for him to help him. The baby didn't know that mommy should have been using her G-tube and not just keeping it clean. So yes, when they are taking away from what they know, it is painful. I don't care where they end up. Because all they knew was their mother and father. And I pray that they end up, wherever they ended up, that they feel warmth and love and cared for. Because not every foster family is good, but so many out there are. I hope they're being fed, cared for. The girls that go to school are going to school. I'm hoping that services are brought in for the other children. I hope that the baby's able to gain weight while she's away. But Zim has done some things in the last few days that have disappointed me even more. For one thing, that really set me off was that she tried to use Gabriel Fernandez, a case that literally sits on my heart, and tried to twist it around to say that CPS put him in a bad situation and look what happened to him, and y'all are okay with my kids being taken. And for people who don't know the story and only know the highlights, that might seem true. But that's not why CPS got in trouble. I'm just going to say it briefly. Gabriel was being abused brutally by his mother and whatever boyfriend she had at the time. The school told CPS multiple times. The child told CPS. The medical records showed it. And CPS took him out of the home and put him with grandparents. He was happy. His medical improved. His school life improved. And what CPS did wrong was they talked to the mother. They sent her through whatever machinations she needed to go through to get him back. And I think she probably wanted him back for a check. So she went through all the things. And most DCF CPS organizations, one of the top priorities is reunification. They feel like if they can get the parent to do the right things, reunification is best for all parties. It wasn't for Gabriel. So they gave him back to his mother and her boyfriend. And even though they claimed they went there and checked on him, they actually never saw him. They just checked off that he was fine. And even I think at one point somebody was like, I think something's not right. And they were basically like, let it go. We done did this case. And then when he stopped showing up to school, I believe that's when somebody got involved. Or he ended up unaliving. And maybe they called 911. I don't remember. But to try to use that story to explain her situation, girl, no. If Gabriel Hernandez's situation happened to your kids, that would mean they got brought back to you and it got worse, not better. How dare you use that situation? And yes, the city was so upset with CPS, they charged the CPS workers in LA County. I believe it was LA County. It was definitely California. And then the government stepped in and said, no, you can't press charges against CPS workers. I wanted each one of them to go to jail. So then, how dare you use Gabriel's story to try to say, see what happens when CPS gets it wrong and gives them to somebody else. They gave him to his mother. So let's start there. With the misinformation, trying to equate a horrible situation that CPS got wrong with yours. When she first came back, after taking a little time, which, let's be honest, she said she took time off. She didn't. She went to Facebook and tried to get people to spend a monthly stipend to be able to see her live. And it went absolutely nowhere. And what did I say when she said she was leaving TikTok? I said it. I said, she'll be back. Just wait. She'll be back. Because she can't get money anywhere else like she can get it on TikTok. I said, just wait. And people were like, well, I'll pay, but I'm not worried about having to pay. She'll be back. So when she says she took a break, she didn't. She took a break from TikTok. She didn't take a break from social media. And I remember her saying something like, if I was so bad, how could I get a meeting with CPS? Girl, you could get a meeting with CPS almost at any time. They are in custody of your children. That doesn't mean anything. You didn't get to go see them. And I know the information she got when everything was done with family court, she knew that she had fucked up. Because what came out to her wasn't what she thought. She thought she was going to be able to say the internet, TikTok, trolls, awareness. And they were going to be like, oh, you're right. Here go your kids. And she found out, nope, that's not how that works. So she comes back humble, right? I'm going to do everything they say. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to do whatever they need me to do. I'm going to fight for my children. And I'm sorry if I offended anybody. I'm sorry if anybody felt like threatened or that I was doing anything wrong. I'm sorry. God knows how I feel. God is going to support me through this. Blah, blah, blah. And I say blah, blah, blah because it was like somebody turned on a switch and suddenly Zim came back. And it was right. She would be like, God is trying to teach me something by making me go through this. If it was God, how could it have been anybody else's fault? Because whether people were calling or not, how could, if God was standing in the way, how could somebody from TikTok create something that God wanted to happen? It's nobody else's fault but God, right? But of course, she doesn't make that logic. It's what God wants her to go through. He's trying to teach her something, but you trolls did the wrong thing. Do you need to learn something from God or not, Zim? And while she's having this battle between, I know I have to do better, I know we have to do better, we can go. She even said she would start wearing her eye again. But guess what came with all of that? I need to move. I need boxes. I think she said she needed 36 boxes, something like that. But not since then have I seen her box a single thing. Now I'm not saying she's not boxing, but we are right back to Zim being live almost all day long. Right, Pink Pearl. And that's what she said. She was done with TikTok. Of course you can't be, because you're going to need money. And the only place you're going to get it to the amount you need is TikTok. Because you can battle sometimes, you can just straight ask for it. And because you have all of these simpletons thinking that you were wrong, not the children, you were wronged, they're going to give it to you. And what I hope is that she actually learns from what they're going to put her through to be a better mother. Because if she does, guess what? She can't be on TikTok all the time unless the children are being cared for by somebody else. And of course, she tried to say that when she can't do it, like her man tells her to get online to do it, and that he takes care of the children. Really, Zim? How many times have we heard the two of you fight about who's going to take care of the kids? Because he wants to be online playing this game or doing whatever, and you want to be online too. How many times has the solution to the children crying being you just want them to go to their room, you're sick of hearing it? You don't want them in your room, but yet you spend all your time in your room, away from them. We know because you're with us. You literally, out of your mouth, said to one of your daughters that she was going to have her other daughters, that child's siblings, to jump her. Out of her own mouth. You don't need a bully in the street when they do it in the house. You're going to have her sisters jump her because of her misbehavior? How can anybody hear that and still support it? Anybody who supports them, come over here and explain to me why you feel like that's proper parenting. Y'all know she's young. Y'all know she needs to learn. And yet you are allowing her and supporting her and doing the same thing. It's their fault. Right before this happened, let me see if I can show this picture without doxing. Okay. Right before this happened, Zim was in her live clowning as usual and have photos of some of the women who covered her. Their real photo compared to an animal. Live it up. She claims that one of the CPS workers is from TikTok and that the people who, on the awareness side of things, that cover her have government jobs, and that's how it happened to her. She did absolutely nothing wrong. So she's clowning behind with their pictures, and she's showing them to people over and over and over again, talking about, I thought the feds was coming to get me. Ha ha ha. Clowning. Not realizing that it was really happening. And then when it happens, in one sentence, is God putting you through it? Which I don't think God did it to you. I think God allowed it to happen. Because you weren't fulfilling your obligation. You constantly want to talk about God and what God expects of you. If you just read the Bible, you would compare what you did to what the Bible says, and that would have condemned you. Nobody should have needed to tell you anything. The Bible tells you how to be a husband, a wife, and a parent. It's practical. The only thing you taught them about God was phrases. God doesn't like a liar. Really, Zen? I'm sure you know about disciplining your children, but the Bible also says not to aggravate them. What did you do? Do you think you provided them with the stability that they deserved? You might have provided, but was it the stability that they deserved? One sentence, you know you're a young mom and you didn't have a mom and you need to learn. And in the next sentence, you did everything you needed to do. This was just done to you. And if God is trying to teach you something, where are you learning? Where's the openness to learning? Because if you're only going to listen to the people who have sent you money and told you that everybody did you wrong, what's going to change them? They're telling you you did nothing wrong. So how are you going to learn? Even when people were giving you advice that sounded reasonable, you were like, nah, I'm not doing that. I don't need to read the word. God is in me. That's mistake number one. How do you think God guides us? You can make almost any decision based on the principles in the Bible. But you're not going to read the book. That's what you told somebody in your chat. When they were like, just focus on the book, focus on God's, and was like, no. God is in me. I don't need to read a book. When she suggested that they dress like church, they don't know nothing about that. Mind you, she was late to her eviction hearing. Wasn't her eviction hearing online? How you late to an online appointment? So let me show you what I did. So let me say this. Didi Zim told them that TikTok is her job, but she makes $0. The judge will subpoena. Hold on, will subpoena. Why won't let me hit it? Subpoena the report. Agreed, Pink Pearl. They're going to know that she's lying about that instantaneously because they're going to ask for all of her chime. And even though she had it sent to other people, eventually it made it to her. So let me say this explicitly clear. I don't know anybody in DCF in LA. I don't know any government official in LA. This wasn't taken from any real report. Nobody sent me a real report. I used AI and my knowledge to come up with this. So I don't want anybody to say, how did she get the information? This is generated based on what happens usually. Correct, Pink Pearl. Well, she knows that now. She just doesn't want to admit it. So I put into AI the things that I knew that were going on in the household that I could see and verify. So that's why it says these are the likely issue raised by the described facts. So I put in the described facts. So based on the facts provided, a court in DCFS would likely focus on child safety, supervision, possible domestic violence, or violence risk. And that didn't come from me suggesting that they have a volatile relationship. It was the battling back and forth with the threats on TikTok. Okay? Again, let me be clear. I'm not suggesting that they had domestic violence issues. I don't think they do. But this was about violence risk. Medical neglect of the infant, school attendance, developmental neglect, unsafe or unstable housing, income instability, and the parent's ability to put the children's need ahead of live streaming and online conflict. Don't that sound about right? Okay. Next page. California's court self-help materials explain that when a child is removed, the reunification plan is meant to address the specific conditions that made the home unsafe and to determine what services are needed to make the child safe and healthy. That is a generic statement. That's what the plan is for. LA County's DCFS policy on medical neglect specifically directs workers to assess untreated medical conditions, unadministered prescribed treatment, developmental concerns, and underlying parental problems that interfere with proper medical care. So the baby is 7 months and 14 pounds, that would alarm anybody. The fact that she had a G tube that wasn't being used would alarm anybody. I have a hold on one second. I had to print something out. I'll be right back. Yes, Kira, the printer is working. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. It's not working. It's not working. So I may read it later on. Let's go on to what I have prepared. So AI came up with a list of what would be an average practical requirement list by parent. Some of it is like exactly the same, and then some of it deviates. So they have to attend every court hearing and maintain regular contact with whoever their appointed counsel and assigned social worker. They can't be, being late, not showing up, trying to cancel, not gonna work. You have to complete all court-ordered parenting classes individual counseling, and any psychological evaluation or psychiatric treatment ordered by the courts. And for those who know Zim, they know that she needs that. You have to complete domestic violence, anger management, or other violence-related services if ordered, because the removal reported involves potential violence. And again, that's not between the two of them. That comes from her telling people on live to pull up. You know where I live. And then when the girl that she put out supposedly went through her garbage, she called the police, claimed that her life and the life of her children were in jeopardy, demanded that they come out, and then curse out the 911 operator. You can't ask for it and then call the police, because what we know is all of it was performative. So let me again be very clear. I do not believe or suggest that there was domestic violence going on in their household between the two adults. Okay. Then you have to demonstrate safe parenting by reducing or stopping live streaming during parenting time, focusing on, I'm sorry, I can't see it, focusing on feeding, supervision, hygiene, sleep routines, school routines, and emotional care. You can't tell your daughter you're going to have her jumped by her sisters. You have to spend time with your 2-year-old so he's potty trained, so he gets off of a bottle at 2, that he's able to communicate other than cry. Mind you, just about every state in the country, if not all of them, have services for children. He should have been getting tested at 2. Because they have early start programs where they will actually come to your house and give them therapy of multiple kinds. They'll teach him how to use a cup and a spoon and a plate and a fork to feed himself. They'll try to encourage language. They'll have you go to the doctor and check and see if there's anything wrong with his ears. Because a lot of times when children have a lot of ear infections, they end up needing the plugs in their ears, and then they can hear you properly so that they can start saying words properly. That can delay their speech. But if they're not seeing anybody that's looking for that specifically, you can keep them from being able to go forward. Nikki, there's an explanation. You weren't sitting on live. Hey, exposing. Let's go to the next one. She would need to participate in all medical training and medical appointments. All. Look at the word all. All medical appointments for the medically fragile infant, including correct use of prescribed feeding methods and follow-up care. She would have to cooperate with school attendance plans and educational decision-making for the school-aged children. Them babies got to go to school. Period. And in order for her to work, she needs to have daycare for the youngest of them and send the ones that can go to school every day. She talks about not getting a break, not having any time for herself, not being able to do anything. You can choose to be a stay-at-home mom when you can afford to be a stay-at-home mom. The rest of us had to go to work. She has to obtain stable housing. And we know she can't do that right now because she can't even buy boxes. Talking about she was willing to walk to the stores to get the boxes, and then the next thing I know, she's asking for the money. Or let me change that. Other people are asking for them to send money so she can buy boxes. Again, where are you asking her to show up and show out and prove she can do it on her own? As long as y'all do it for her, that's not going to be adequate for DCFS or the judge. Because that's not regular income. She can't depend on that. Something can happen, y'all turn on her, and then she has nothing. They can't rely on TikTok gifts. So she has to obtain stable housing, maintain the utilities in her own name, and keep the home clean and safe for the children. All of them. They're going to require that the baby have its own bed. They don't like when babies sleep in the bed, especially with two adults, because it is very easy to smother them. And she was tiny. She has to avoid online threats, harassment, or conflict that could support ongoing safety concerns or show poor judgment. Zim, that's going to be a hard climb to be able to prove to them that you have sound judgment. And I'm not just talking about on TikTok. You also have to provide truthful information to the court and DCFS, including paternity, household members, income, benefits, resident details, because credibility matters in dependency court. Now again, this is AI and I working together. I haven't seen any of her paperwork. So if it's similar to what she got, it is because AI is good at it. Star it may be. Next one. The father, like I said, it gave me two separate lists. So he also has to attend every hearing, stay in contact with counsel and DCFS, and fully participate in the written reunification plan. He ain't going to be able to go hide and let Zim take care of it. Not if he's going to be a member of the household. Not going to work this time, bro. And because you couldn't stay out of it when they showed up, everybody knows about you now. There's no hiding. You also have to complete parenting education, counseling, and any violence-related or mental health services ordered for him individually. You ain't going to be able to say, I don't need that. They tell you you got to do it, you're going to have to do it, bro. Show that he can independently meet the children's needs consistently and safely, not only during conflict or crisis. Like I said, how many times did we hear them fight about who was going to deal with the children? Them always talking about it's a two-parent household. It didn't seem like it. Two-parent households, at the very least, somebody gets a job. Somebody makes sure the bills are paid. They don't do slick shit like leave an electric bill or a water bill in the last tenant's name, hoping to never get found out. And then, when it got cut off, because you got found out, you begged your team for $400. Got the money, pretended like you paid it, and then turned the water on, and all along the landlord had to pay it. Now, some people will be like, well, that's their fault. No, it's not. It was Zim's fault. Zim was responsible for calling and turning it on in her name. But as long as it was coming and she didn't have to pay for it, that's not sound judgment. Because look at where you ended up. And then lied about it. And what's so crazy is she then flipped it on the woman who told us all that she paid for it. And guess what her chat did? They forgot all about her stealing their $400 and was like, she really wasn't your friend, Zim. She didn't mean you no good, but y'all was just kissing her ass 24 hours before. And now that she's telling the truth, she's the problem? Okay, back to the list. He also has to participate in medical training and demonstrate that he can safely care for the infant's specialized needs. When did he take the baby to get a service? And she stay home with the rest of the kids. The only time I saw him hold the baby is when he put the baby down when somebody showed up. I don't remember if it was the police, DCF, whoever showed up at the door. And remember, a lot of us thought that the way he put the baby down was aggressive. I'm not going to use the word he threw her on the bed, but he didn't place her either. Every other time, I saw the baby on her hip. And you know what it made me think of? I was like, I wonder how the baby's doing. Because she is accustomed to being held damn near all the time. Is she okay? Has she gotten accustomed to not being held 24/7, not having to fall asleep sitting up, having to fall asleep with all the noise? I never saw him do her G-tube. Now, granted, they didn't do everything online. But he's going to have to prove to them he can do it. Don't worry about me. He has to participate in the development and educational planning for the other children, including appointments, assessment, and school meetings. Now, I know he did drop the kids off every day and pick them up. I never heard them do homework. I never saw them try to teach the kids anything. Like, have you spent time trying to teach the younger ones numbers, colors, the alphabet? That's your job as a parent. Again, he has to show he can maintain lawful, stable housing and safe home conditions before requesting liberalized visits or return of custody. Bear in mind, these are things they have to prove before they get the kids. Some of them they have to prove before they're going to be allowed visitation. And believe me, it's going to be supervised visitation for a minute, even when they do get it. He has to follow all visitation rules, avoid arguing with the mother in front of the children, and avoid online conduct that undermines the reunification. That should have been on Zim's list too. They're going to have to clarify legal parenting issues with counsel and the court where needed, because the court identifies legal parents early in the case. So that using her sister, ain't gonna be able to fly with that. Not having him listed as the actual father, not gonna be able to do that. And understanding the nature of their relationship, I'm not gonna get away with saying we got a DNA test, but we're not showing you. See, that's what happens when the people get involved. You lose all your sense of privacy. They want to know every damn thing. But see, again, when people were telling them that she better to get it together, she was busy dancing around, showing people's pictures and comparing them to animals. Talking about, I thought the feds was coming to get me, with her tongue all out, dancing to rap music like she didn't have nothing better to do. And now she talking about, my house is quiet. I don't know what to do with myself. I rewash clothes. You could barely wash clothes while the kids were there. And now you're talking about you rewash clothes and refold them. But you weren't concerned about sending anything with the kids. Talking about she's laying with the baby, with her son's favorite toys. He should have had his favorite toys. Now wherever he's at, they got to figure out what he likes. But you didn't care about your kids having those things. But now you're going to use it for sympathy on TikTok? And then for Lala to say that I'm the one who got her kids took? Girl, if you're going to accuse me of that, get in the box and tell me how you know. And that's why I needed to make sure that I clarified that I haven't seen any paperwork. I haven't talked to anybody. I don't know anybody, that this was AI and myself. Because I'm sure people are going to be like, Digital showed something like she had the paperwork. I don't. The only person I know that has her paperwork is Kiki. Go ask her. Because even Zim needed explanation. And instead of going to the people and being like, listen, I need you to explain this to me in detail, Kiki had to do it. Kiki was the one that let everybody know that medical neglect was on the paperwork. Yes, Thomas Washington. Last week. And while it was happening, did Zim put her phone down? Did she turn off her live? No. That's how we know what we know. Talking about her followers needed to hear what the police were saying. What were they going to do about it? And then, of course, she's mad that nobody in her family took her kids. The way you described your family, ma'am, it didn't sound like any of them would qualify. Talking about she saw a list where they called family members and nobody even picked up. Then the way you talked about your family, it didn't sound like any of them would have picked up anyway. Why are you acting surprised? And then the sister of yours that's in school, in college to be a lawyer, what was she going to do with your 6 kids? That's 6 kids. Not 1, not 2, not 3, and one of them is a baby that is very ill. That requires a specialized individual to take on that responsibility. Who in your family could do that? They didn't take you. So why would you expect them to take 6 of your children? But now you want to be mad at them. Why aren't you mad at yourself? Nobody should have had to take in your children. They had a mother and a father, a 2-parent household that you like to keep saying. Why didn't the 2-person household that they had make sure that everything was done adequately? She tried to say the reason why she doesn't work was because she was going for disability. How many times did she say she was denied and she wasn't worrying about it? But let's not forget the live where she literally said, she's a check, the baby's a check, he's a check, TikTok is a check, begging is a check. Again, when you clown, whether you were clowning or being serious, you said, he tried to say she was trolling. I wonder what DCF and the judge thought. And then imagine they know that a family member has the children. You think Zim and him wouldn't have showed up? Wouldn't have demanded to see the kids? And then would have called the family member disloyal for not showing them the kids? Be serious. And now the cops was called again. Zim, you can make this about everybody else if you want to. You can whine and cry and talk about how people did this to you and you didn't deserve it, and why weren't we concerned about the children, and why would we do this to the children. You can say all that. It's not going to make a hill of beans difference to what you have to do. Whether I'm talking about you, somebody else is talking about you, whether you have 3,000 people in your life or 2. Not a single one of any of us can do a single thing to fix it. And then I heard that she's only gotten 5 letters written for her to go to the court. I know one of the things that the paragraph that I was going to read said that that's only going to hold so much weight. Because remember, these letters aren't from neighbors. It's not from friends that see the kids every day. It's not going to be from their teachers. It's from people that talk to her on TikTok. How much weight is that going to hold? Because did they see you guiding her in the right way? And why only 5, Zim? All of the people in your life every day. I'm sure there's more than 5 people who have donated to you. Although at the time of that live, there was only $20 in her GoFundMe. I don't know what it is now. Why don't you have 100 letters? Oh, Nicole, I'm aware. For anybody else who isn't aware, they had come out before. And remember when the cop came, she was like, they can't do nothing for me. Can they help me move? Can they give me a first, last, and security? Can they this? No, so they can't do nothing to help me. She had the opportunity to work with them. And maybe they wouldn't have taken the children. They would have worked with her in her circumstances. See, what she's silly about is that all of that comes from city and state services. Do you think that the people at CPS don't know about the agencies that help out? That they maybe could have put you in touch with somebody who would have been able to help you get a job? That could have been somewhere that could have helped. And does she have her GED yet? Because that was the other question I had in my head. You are competing with people with master's degrees. And you don't have your GED. And so I'm supposed to believe that you take the children's education seriously? And she could have studied for that at home. She could have turned TikTok off for an hour a day and said, babe, here are the kids. I'm going to study because I need to get my GED. It's important. It opens up more opportunities for me. No, she's famous on TikTok, and that was going to take her to the top. Well, that's all I have to say on that. I know some people are in here who watch her more diligently than I do. Does anybody want to come up just to talk about her? Raw faith walk, they absolutely could if she took parenting them seriously. And it's not just she's there every day. And that she does birthdays and holidays well. Because she doesn't even do those well. Other people pay for that. It's cute that y'all all have matching clothes for Easter. But do they know the meaning behind Easter? And do they also know that the meaning behind Easter should have nothing to do with the bunny and eggs? That's the pagan part of the holiday? No, because them don't even know that. She just knows it's a holiday that people get dressed up on. So she wants them to look like they're some united family. See, them, if you weren't on TikTok the way you were, you might get away with being able to show your family like that and let people think that that's their daily life. But when the cops came and got your kids, your son didn't have any clothes on. So those pictures are props. But because you're on TikTok all the time, we know that. And has she changed that at all? No. She's on live like she was before. And sometimes even popping her collar. Remember when she said, if somebody took her kids, I wouldn't be able to live. I'd run out into the middle of the street. Remember when she said that? I do. Because I take when somebody says stuff like that seriously. I don't play with it. But y'all out going to the movies instead of packing your house. That's crazy, Pink Pearl. Well, I guess nobody wants to come up. Not surprised after yesterday. Let's see. Oh, I want to go to Lala. Dang. Hold on. I have multiple days. So, back on Thursday the 28th, while Lala was live, she suggested that the only reason why we do this is to bring people and money, or that we're doing it out of spite. First of all, pot calling the kettle black. Because you do what you do for views, like clicks, sales, and money. Do you not? In fact, you have gotten 1,000% more than I've ever gotten. You've had your room paid for what now? August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. 9 months? At least 2 weeks of every month, if not more? And you want to say we're doing it for money and views? Be serious. She talks about how nobody's buying from her shop because we've wrecked her credibility. May I offer you an alternative thought process? If you had spent the time you spent trying to fight and argue with us and prove something and dox and do all of the silly things that you did that didn't change a single thing, maybe you wouldn't have lost sales. But you decided to take your eye off the prize because you were concerned that it was going to affect the money you're given rather than the money you earn. See, all money isn't equal to her. She gets much more out of the money handed to her than the money she earns selling products. And have you watched her sell a product? It is so piss poor. There's no setup. She's sitting in front of a hoarder looking room, people walking back and forth in the background, noise. She picks up the cats in the middle, or she's in the bathroom. She shows the products for a second. This is what it does. Usually she uses the product on herself. This is what it does. She was selling a shirt and wore it 2 days in a row. Ma'am, that's not quality selling. Instead of worrying about what any and everybody said, worrying about doxing people, you should have improved your skill set. Because she said that she's been doing this for 6 years and that we've ruined her career of 6 years. Baby girl, if you've been doing it for 6 years and you still needed people to pay your room every day, maybe you should have tried something different. It's okay, live it up. I don't mind. I don't understand why people worry about that to begin with. Now she is. How we ruin a 6-year career that never took off to begin with? I'm asking for a friend. And then she said, people don't want to get involved because they don't want anyone to message them or post their kids. I don't agree with anybody that posts anybody's children. I made that mistake one time. Never again. And initially I thought I was cool. Like, she shows her kids online, so why can't I show her? And then somebody had a conversation with me, and I was like, you know what? You're right. The kids are there not of their own free will. So I've never shown a kid again. I did it one time. So if somebody's showing children, I don't agree with that. But who else's kids have been shown? And she's another one that doesn't worry about defining who does what. It's just all of y'all. Or the bad side of awareness. Girl, if the rest of awareness decided to cover you, you'd be on everybody's page. I don't understand what you're talking about. She talks about she brings awareness because she talks about recovery. Now you do, but even when you talk about recovery, it's I recovered. You can recover too. That's not discussing recovery. That's not awareness. When you're live, you're either selling something or begging for money. Where does the recovery part come in? Melanie, I'm going to take a moment to say a prayer in this moment. I hope everything goes smoothly. I pray that the doctor's hands are led by God's Spirit and that he gets through it and starts to recover smoothly as well. And I pray for your strength through it all. It's difficult. I understand. Thank you for sharing that. We message people because we realize that when they are caught in the cycle of hearing about your desperate needs and your children, that they don't realize that they're getting played. But if they didn't want to get messaged, there's a way to stop it. They don't want to get involved. You're my, what is it, awareness bullies? She don't have no problem. She got upset that she felt like she was doxxed. And her response to that wasn't to say that's wrong and we shouldn't do it. She just turned around and doxed other people. And I mean nitty gritty details. And this is the thing. Lala thought, well, if they're bullies, I'm going to out-bully the bully. And the only thing you did was make yourself look silly. Because again, exposing anybody on this side doesn't change a single fact about what you do. She thought, let me dox them and then they're going to back off. And all it did was turn up the heat. The only reason why I was good awareness to you before was that I had purposely laid off of you. Because I really thought you were one of those people caught between a rock and a hard place. And now I'm only bad awareness because I started covering you too. When I realized that the stories the assumptions I made about your situation were wrong. And do you see what her response is the moment she feels like somebody's turned on her? Julie sent shoes for the kids. And it's like she's not even thankful. You didn't have the money to do it. She's like, I didn't even ask her. How would she know that the kids might need new shoes for school if you never mentioned it? Or if you said, I got everything they need for school. You don't have to worry. The kids are good for school. Or did you say the kids need everything to start school this year? Again, thankfulness out the door. And then she loves showing off that the son had the wrong size, and so now she wears the shoes proudly. If you could have just went to Burlington, why didn't you do so, ma'am? If you didn't need her help, why didn't you say to her, you know what, I appreciate it, but I don't need the help? See, once you give your money, it's gone. And they don't care about you anymore. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Tracy. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the gifts, guys. Even if I didn't see it and acknowledge it. Good morning, Ambivalent. When you decided to come after us, as far as I'm concerned, you welcomed me to a good time. Because now I'm going to study you for real. And I'm going to find the lie. I'm going to find the miscommunication, the misinformation, the throw up one ball while you hide two behind your back. And unfortunately, I'm swift on the uptake. You can say a sentence and I can figure out a response faster than you can finish the sentence. It's a blessing and a curse. She loves to talk about how because of what we do, TikTok is violating its own community guidelines. Now, somebody created an account where her name, some of her pictures and videos. I don't do that. I don't find it necessary, but I can't control what anybody else does. And she claims they're getting money off the account. How she knows that, I don't know. And when she reported it, TikTok came back with no violations. Okay, Granny Annie. Welcome to the club, bitch. I had an account created that used my logo and a slightly different name. And people immediately followed it because they thought it was me with my logo. And I reported it, and TikTok said, no violation. I don't even talk about it anymore. Let them do them. That account will never go live. It wasn't meant to support me. And it certainly wasn't meant to get a lot of support from y'all. Because I'll never go live from that account. That account will never get in a box and say a single word. But what about the community guidelines that you're breaking? You've been doing this for 6 years and you're not monetized yet? Because a few community guidelines ago, it was against community guidelines to be monetized and beg for money. You couldn't beg for money, you couldn't rage bait, none of it, if you were monetized. And I'm sure that if Baskin Lather knew that you spent 50% of your time attacking other creators, and that the other 50% of that time you spend begging for money, I don't know if they still want to be an affiliate with you. But I don't have to worry about that, because if you ain't making any sales, that's going to come to an end eventually anyway. I don't have to do a single thing. I don't have to say a single thing. Keep doing you. And then she had a nerve to try to say, look us up. Lala, you can't do me better than I can do me. She tried to do a presentation on what awareness is according to ChatGPT. Of course there are people in the system who are doing it wrong, that do things that are out of order. I don't particularly care for body shaming, using AI to make terrible pictures of people. I don't agree with trolling and saying the nastiest, vilest things that can be said. That does not fit with my moral compass. So when you do something and look up how is awareness viewed on TikTok in 2026, it's going to include everybody. I'm not everybody. So if you're going to tell me to look up me, I'm going to look up me. And then I told somebody else the story, and they looked up me on their AI that has never said my name before. And their AI was kinder than the one I got. And then and I meant to take a picture of it. Somebody, if you guys see the post, it's this picture of her. Go look at it. And somebody in the post did an AI search of her and put it in the comments. I'm going to pull that out and make a video. No, Melanie. I was sick, so I could only see who I could see. And she wasn't high on my priority list. We have one request. Stop begging. I don't care about the other stuff you do. Stop waiting for other people to fix your problems. Because even when you're like, get a job, she'll be like, give me one. She was having a conversation with someone that worked at a cell phone place, and she was like, could you get me in? Could you get me a job? And the girl is like, yeah, I can help you. The only thing she can do is give you an application. That's all she can do. And the company is going to do what they need to do. They're going to read your resume, interview you, and do a background check. Whoever recommended you has no control after that. The only way you're giving a job without having to go through the process is there's an owner of the company. Why don't you go look for one of them? Because telling us to give you a job is pointless. Because again, where is your responsibility of making sure it's on your own? And I need to tell your peanut gallery, the man that sits in that room all day and does absolutely nothing, to pipe down. Because not once has he put his face in a camera and begged for that same family. If he's so concerned about it. Now he's talking about he's going to make an account and go after the ladies and blah, blah, blah. Nigga, pipe down. Because you do nothing but bring in that check. That's all you do. Sorry. I can't stand when people have a lot to say but don't do anything. Now you want to make an account and talk? Now you want to make an account. Where's your account that's begging for money for your family? Where's that account? And he's on SSI. Now, if we were discussing his history, we know based on what she said that he was her dealer. And that he comes from a family of dealers. I don't know if I'm not suggesting they're dealers now, but that's what was going on at the time that they met up. So what real life job did he have? Because he certainly hasn't worked long enough to qualify for SSDI. That's why he only brings in a little less than $1,000. Either he didn't have the disability before, or he was dealing with the disability. He can't get a little work at home job? Even if it just brings in enough for one more week at a room? Well, then they would take dollar for dollar. I mean, 50 cents on the dollar from his Social Security check. So why would he bother to do that? But he got time to make an account to go after a bunch of women. Why? Because it's affecting his ability to be comfortable. He don't want to have to go back to his mama house with the kids. Because one of the things that for sure is going to happen is he's going to have to take care of the kids. She ain't allowed there. What did she say? Her and her cats can't go, but he and the kids could go? He don't want that. He needs y'all to keep giving money so he can stay comfortable. And because she has it in her thick skull that she's taking care of him. So you got you, the kids, the cats, the financial responsibility, your TikTok shop thing that you got going on, and you're taking care of him. Girl, we should be the least of your worries. But how many couples do we have on here where the woman does all the talking, all the begging, all of the life stuff, and he gets to sit back in the background and be the peanut gallery? Pipe down, sir. I'm sorry, I'm taking back the sir. Pipe down. You beg every day. You blame everyone else for your situation. But somehow you think you're a better person than me because I don't support your begging. Okay, you do outclass me in one area, and that's that you beg on TikTok. I can't compare to you on that. But you're smarter than me. You know business better than me. You've experienced a full life. The only part of life that you and I haven't experienced similarly, I shouldn't say the only part, but I should say the two biggest, is I've never done rugs and I don't beg on TikTok. What's crazy is that I could actually help your business acumen. I could actually give you a lot of advice to improve. But you wouldn't listen to me because you're mad that I discussed the fact that you beg. One of the problems with why your sales have declined is because your attitude has declined. The amount of time you spend on it has declined. And you are so worried about being able to talk about us that you half-ass your product placement. People want it clean. And see, this is the thing. You're not the only person selling the products. Baskin Lather has their own live that they do literally all day long. So much so that I had to block the account because I got sick of seeing them live every second. They don't need you to buy Baskin Lather, ma'am. And if people are already sending you cash for your room, why would they also have money to buy your products? That's a big assumption. But see, again, you earn more by getting money directly sent to you than you do selling products, which is why that's the bigger priority. I'm sorry, I took a lot of notes that I'm just going through real quick. She wanted the chat to know that in the end, you can be poor and still look nice. When you getting the stuff for free, you sure can. And just because you go to Burlington and buy it doesn't mean you didn't get it for free. Because if it's somebody else's money, you got it for free. I'm still trying to understand this, Lala. Answer this question. When he got his check at the beginning of last month, why didn't y'all pay down any part of the room? Because isn't she at 1,500 now? Still not evicted, but at 1,500. Why didn't you put any of the money on the room? And now another check should show up soon. Really, Amy? That's crazy. Existence Cake was on just about all night long because I spent so much talking last night. I literally was still up at 2:30 trying to get ready for this morning and then woke up at 4 to finish. Gang, we're at 9:30. I swear. I'm starting to wear down though. I can feel it. She said, it's not against the law to ask for help. Of course it's not against the law. The same way this not against the law for me to discuss what happens with all SBLMs. It is against community guidelines to use your high emotions to get people to send you money. It's against community guidelines to send somebody off the app to go perform another event and get off TikTok. It is against the law to fail to report your income, including direct payments, when you receive state and federal benefits. Isn't that correct, Lala? Okay, I will. Thank you, Granny Annie. I appreciate you guys. I can hear it in my voice that I'm starting to wane. She tries to act like we don't understand. I've been I have faced unforeseen circumstances. See, you're grown, and the man who's the father to your child is still living. I was 25 and my husband passed away, and I had a 6-year-old. I could have completely collapsed. Because I had a child, I went back to work a week later. Because now we don't have my husband's benefits. We have to rely on mine. We don't have his income. We have to rely on mine. I don't understand how they say their children drive them. My child drove me. When I had him young, everybody knows that. When my friends were out partying and having a good time and working at Wendy's one week and quitting and going and working at, y'all might, what was the name of that place? Kmart and Bradley's, and not really caring because they didn't have any responsibility. I was trying to get a job at GE, and I got one because of the benefits. I had that before I met my husband. That's what drove me, was having a child to take care of. So I don't understand why this begging because you have children is where you land. I don't understand that. Yeah, Karma. There has to be something that she's there at $1,500. She hasn't packed a single thing like she's leaving. Come on, y'all. Make it make sense. I think part of why she's freaked out, as many of them are, is what happened to them. Because they know if somebody shows up for real, and if this continues on, she may face the same outcome. Now, her children are older and they do go to school. I will give her that. And let me say this. We are 3-dimensional. We're more dimensional than 3, but I recognize and can acknowledge when they do something right. I'm not going to say you don't love your children. You're just choosing to use the motivation to do the bare minimum when you should be doing the most. She keeps talking about going to temp agencies. I haven't seen her do it. Go find a day laborer. If you got to sit in front of Home Depot and see if there's something you can do, if that's what's important, that's what you will do. Oh, that's right. She has MS. Let's not forget it. I need to talk about one other person. I'm not finished with Lala, but I can talk about her on Wednesday. How is the car not working? Because then if she didn't pay for the hotel and she didn't fix the car, where did his check go? And let's remember, he's getting a check in a few days. I think she said the 3rd. She says she has MS. I take her at her word. First of all, I have to say, violence of any kind is unacceptable. It's unnecessary. And it's against the law. And I don't care what she said or did. She didn't deserve to get hit in front of her children. But Porscha, you play too many games. So let me tell you some story you guys might not have been aware of before she ended up in the hospital. So we know Porscha couldn't get a job. Porscha was having problems with the landlord and needed to find somewhere else to go. Porscha wanted her chat to buy her a car. It didn't happen because Porscha has been doing this for a long time. Porscha has a case. They looking for her. And Porscha's response to that was to send her kids or to bring her kids to Texas. I'm assuming she was using the bus system to do it. Now, whether she wants to admit using it or not, she gets a check for her daughter every month into an account she has access to. She claims she doesn't touch it until it's her daughter's birthday, but if I need to feed my kids, what am I doing? I'm going to leave the money there and be like, well, it's her money. I got to feed her. Like, let's be serious. She takes them to Texas and leaves them with family and comes back. Oh, scam opera, I am 100% sure. She also had a fight with her daughter and was arrested for that. So I'm not sure which case they're looking for her for. She brings the kids to Texas. She comes back. She's right back to begging. But you could tell she's hiding. She's trying to figure stuff out. Which, if they want to get you, I don't care if you become the CEO of a company. They're going to come and get you. And you're only making it worse. Because I thought she was going to go, come back, deal with it, and deal with the consequences of whatever. And it might not even be as bad as she thinks. I don't know. Well, Star, wherever she went, her kids were somewhere else. Let me put it that way. Whether they were in Texas or not, she took them somewhere else. Now, what some of you may have missed is that the night she was in the hospital, at 12:15 in the morning, she goes live. She's in a room. I don't know whether it was a bedroom or not. And I know that she was in some state of undress. And I'll tell you how I know. The police were there. And there was a gentleman standing there saying, she has to go. And Porscha is like, I'm not dressed. I need to get dressed. Can y'all get out? The police are like, fine, we're going to leave. And she's like, I want him out too. And he said, I'm not leaving her in my house. And the police were like, well, we got to leave so she can get dressed. He, the gentleman, and again, I don't have a clue whether he's a boyfriend, a brother, a cousin. I don't know who he is. But he turned to the little boy to hug him goodbye. And she says to the police, I don't want him touching my kid with fentanyl all over his hands. I'm sorry, I should have said fent. What was the point in saying that? Wow, really? Is that his father? And is he in Milwaukee? Right. And this is what's so funny. The cops didn't even acknowledge it. They were like, come on now. You come out, let her get dressed, because they knew what she was doing. Was she hoping that they turned to him, checked him out, arrested him, and then she could stay there with her kids? Like, I'm trying to understand. What was all of that for? And if he was into that, why are your kids here? Forget why are your kids here if that's what you believe he's doing? Help me understand. The next thing I know, she goes live. And initially I thought it was her, but then I thought, you know what, this might be her daughter. Because the lives only lasted a few minutes. And they didn't show anything other than the fact that they were sitting down on the ground in what looked like a parking lot. And she was, I don't know if her little boy is still in Pampers or whatever, but she was like, does that make your butt more comfortable? And he was like, yeah. And then it went off. And then it came back on for like a minute or so, and then it went off. So you didn't just got kicked out of this man's house. It was my time, 12:15. If it was Texas time, it was 9 or 10 o'clock. If it was Milwaukee time, it was 10 o'clock. Oh, okay, so maybe she was just wiping him off. I don't know. But it was happening outside. And it was right after she got kicked out. Now, according to her, somebody unnamed on TikTok gave her a ticket to Texas and back, but only gave her like the reservation numbers. If somebody prevented Porscha from getting back home with her children, their name would have been in lights in Times Square. Why would she get you all the way there and not let you go home? But this is Porscha's story, that she only brought her from Texas to Milwaukee. And when she got there and the guy was taking her stuff off the bus, and she was like, I'm only here for a cigarette break. And the guy was like, this is my last stop. That suddenly a security guard said, you're that girl from TikTok, and beat her up. And she feels like the person who sent her to Milwaukee instead of Minnesota set it all up. Clearly, thank you, Child Bella. Because it didn't make sense. Why would somebody get you all the way to Texas to stop you in Milwaukee? The man had kicked you out. So unless you tried to go back in there, he didn't do it. But Porscha has a mouth. And I can absolutely see her getting it into with somebody. $100%. So with no money and nowhere to go, she's in the hospital. And she made sure to go live and cry from that hospital bed. It was the best performance on TikTok that night. Mind you, her children were awake the entire time. We're talking 10 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, if she was in that house partially undressed, she was in the bed, at least ready to go to sleep, or she didn't get up. And now that I know that you went to Milwaukee and had to come back from Milwaukee, girl. So they give her a hotel. She checks the hotel. The hotel, she claims, checked the hotel room, made sure they had rooms. So they paid for her Uber. No, the hospital paid for her Uber to get to the hotel. She gets to the hotel at like 10 in the morning. And she has such a headache. She needs to lay down and go to sleep. Now, for the hospital, she said that it was still numb. And that she wanted to go to sleep before she could feel it. And then she got to the hotel and people were like, how you going to check in? It's 10 in the morning. It's not even checkout time. She goes to the desk. It goes from needing, I think it was like $109 to $40 to check in early and $100 deposit. And of course, everybody sent her. One lady sent her $80. She needed $80. Somebody sent her the whole $80 and was like, go get some rest. What does Porscha do? Porscha gets in the room and goes back live. I thought you needed to rest. Your children certainly do. They've been in somebody's house, got kicked out in the middle of the night, had to deal with whatever happened to you, go sit in the hospital with you for hours, and now you're in a hotel room and you can't slow down enough for your kids to get in the bed and get some sleep? But no, you're online because now you need to beg to get back home to Minnesota. You need money to get back home to Minnesota. And now that I know you were in Milwaukee, were you planning on staying and he realized it and kicked you out? Because she had to make mention that the suitcases she had were the kids' suitcases, that she didn't bring anything because she planned on going and coming right back. It was going to take you at least 24 hours to make the round trip. What woman you know goes for 5 hours without a little something in her bag? Anything could happen. I don't know a single woman that doesn't at least have an overnight case for just in case shit. Ain't that what insurance is for? Just in case. Anything could happen. You want me to believe that a security guard at Greyhound beat you up? Because according to her, he got arrested. And according to her, she's gonna sue. He gave all that up for a woman that lives somewhere else? He went to jail because the woman don't like you on TikTok? Something about that doesn't ring true to me. I'm sorry. Exactly. But everybody was believing it. And there was one lady that was like, something about this story is confusing. And I was like, I said to her, I said, keep your eyes open and your head on a swivel. Because it don't make sense to me neither. And people were like, what are you confused about? If y'all just listened to the story long enough, you would be confused. But most of those people didn't see her at 12:15 in the morning getting kicked out of somebody's apartment. They don't know that there was a story. She didn't mention. And if you got where you were going and somebody else paid for it, you mean to tell me you didn't look and check with your babies? Now I understand why she thought she could keep her son in her lap when she was asking for the money to go from Milwaukee to Minnesota. Because she hadn't ridden with him in the Greyhound from Texas to Milwaukee. Yo, I love y'all because so much stuff didn't make sense that now makes sense to me. And it all boils down to the fact that she's a liar. She then, of course, tried to add God into it. No, wait a minute. I think this is Lala. Hold on. Yeah, that's Lala. Lala tried to say money is the root of all evil. And I'm like, if you're going to quote the Bible, quote it correctly. It's the love of money. Oh, she loves it. God this, God that. But God don't ever have any questions about the BS you do? She's been doing this for a long time. She's a liar. And she can cry on demand. If you're not covering her, please start now. Right, Barry's right too. If you haven't been covering her, please cover her now. Child, I'm following you back. Guys, I'm wore out. And I'm sorry, because I still have so much more to say, and I didn't even cover everybody on the grid, and I apologize. But I have to take a break. She is a hard watch. Absolutely, Chabella. Did she ever get the money for the bus? Because remember, when she was in Milwaukee, she was at the hotel, she met a couple from Milwaukee, and they told her she could get a bus for $35 a person. And she was like, bet. Because they were going back on that bus line to Milwaukee. Mind you, it was crazy because they were from Chicago. They had gone to Milwaukee to drop off his sister's car and was going back to Minnesota. It literally was her life. And then the next thing I knew, she needed Greyhound. And it was so much more money. Echo, stop. I have one more thing to say. The live last night was shocking. I didn't know what was coming. I didn't know anything about it in advance. I just was there like everybody else. And I too was shocked and surprised. And when things like that happen, I like to ask questions because I'm trying to understand. And I felt like a pillar in the community shouldn't have needed to do that. And I can understand why somebody feeling like their integrity was being attacked came back. Because when people question my integrity, I bounce back. Like, doing what we do is hard. It takes a lot of work and a lot of energy, and it's overwhelming. He apologized thoroughly. Not initially, but he got there. Does he deserve grace and forgiveness? Of course. Because that's my moral compass. Because if I want to be forgiven, I feel like I have to forgive others. I can't tell them to forgive him because it happened to them. And then last night, I had what I thought was a really good, honest, upfront conversation about why some people agreed with it and some people didn't. I wasn't taking up for anybody. I was asking what I felt were the obvious questions. And clearly people are mad at me now. I find it interesting that I wasn't the one who did it. I wasn't the one who held the live. But now people are mad at me for asking the questions and having a conversation. I find that often here. That when I address an issue, somehow I turn out to be the bad guy, even if it wasn't me who did it. Let me say this for everybody in the back, those watching on the outside, those who are going to watch the recording on rewatch. I am going to be me authentically, regardless of whether you like it or not. I'm going to stand on the business that I stand on. I'm going to be here 3 times a week talking about what matters. Because that's what I do. If you no longer want to be a part of that, it's okay. I'll be okay. But what I am is consistent. I understand you not agreeing with me about something, but if me having a differing opinion than you makes you not want to be here, I don't know what to tell you. Because the comments I saw last night was, what about all the good he did? And I said he should be applauded for all the good. When he said he was leaving, I was like, and taking his accounts, I was like, please don't do that. Your link tree is infamous. I mean, it's famous. It calls out the scammers almost better than anything else. Because when they refuse the link tree, that already tells us what type of time they're on. So I ask for you to look at yourself and say, if your integrity was questioned publicly, how would you respond? And then go from there. But if the fact that I have a differing opinion than other people means that all the work that I've done goes by the wayside, sounds a bit hypocritical, if you ask me. So I absolutely stand in the camp of All for One taking a break, reevaluating, coming back bigger and better, and recognizing that he should never have to hide how he thinks, how he feels, and what it is he wants to say, regardless of the blowback. Because we stand on business. We get blowback from the scammers every day. You will never find me hiding behind an account to address something that happens within the community, publicly or privately. It's going to be digital all the time, unless I can't get in there and I need to go in there under another account. But even then, I'm going to be like, this is digital. I don't care who it is. I have gone in multiple lives and had questions. When I've been called out publicly, my integrity's been questioned. I'm not talking to anybody privately. If you've done it publicly, I'm going to come to my live and address it publicly. And I got that. Why didn't you talk to them privately? Did they talk to me privately? So again, I say all of that to say he deserves grace and forgiveness. He deserves the opportunity to come back and change what he himself admitted was wrong. He didn't say he didn't do it or that it wasn't the right thing to do. He admitted it and then said that this app and what goes on and what we have to deal with has gotten to him. It made him make decisions he wouldn't have otherwise. And that we get to show God's grace in real life by allowing him to come back not allowing him, but having him come back and receive the grace and forgiveness. But that doesn't change the facts of what happened either. So I'm just asking you to put yourself in everybody's shoes, not just the shoes of the people you like, but the shoes of the people you may not. And ask yourself, has it happened to you and how have you responded? And if you're going to give everybody else in the situation grace, I'd like a little grace too. Correct, May May. That's why my calendars now have breaks. Because I was literally making myself sick. Because the level of scamming, the number of scammers, and the lies they tell, and the amount of research we have to do, for me to talk for 3 hours probably takes me 6 or 7 hours of work. I do believe it'll work itself out. I recognize that it's a lot. And I want you guys to take care of yourselves as well. I want you to remember to stick to your moral compass, whatever that is. Because I want you to be able to walk through and not have to spend time worrying about regrets. Stay focused on what we're supposed to be focused on. And frankly, not each other. Thank you, Diva. Let's focus on doing the good work. So I thank you all for being here on this beautiful Monday morning. We are blessed to be here because somebody didn't wake up this morning. Please hug your loved ones because tomorrow isn't promised. And please, I can't stress. I think I'm gonna bring back the motivation of the day. Please do self-care. I don't care if it starts with a minute of you just being quiet and listening to your brain instead of pushing everything to the side. Listen. What's happening up there in your subconscious? Address it. And if you need a break, take one. And I'm not saying a break for a couple of hours or a day. No, take a break. Put TikTok down. Get away from the scammers and the toxicity of social media in general. Go touch some real grass, whatever that means for you. I started this live on a spiritual note and I want to end it on one. This is one of my favorites and the one I rely on when I need it. So again, thank you for being here. If I don't see you on the streets, pray to God I will be here on Wednesday morning. And I'll have a calendar out for the month of June today. I appreciate the ones that came to my sub live on Saturday night. I wish more of you were here. I will be doing a part 2, and that will be that'll be sometime this month so I can end the series. And I'm going to post the live soon. I'm sorry, not sub live, Digital After Dark. Thank you. I did say that wrong. I'm sorry. Digital After Dark. So I'm going to end today's live. Echo. Play Never Would Have Made It, Marvin Sharp. You guys have a wonderful and blessed
Here's
day.
Never Would Have Made It by Marvin.
Thank you for all of you who stayed. I needed to hear the whole thing. And I hope everybody who's feeling any kind of way can take that song and allow it to inspire you. And I hope for All For One that he takes the words of that song and comes back stronger and wiser. I appreciate you all. Thank you for being here. And if I don't see you in the streets, I'll see you hopefully Wednesday morning. Thank you.